You talked a little bit about situational leadership, which I think is a very important skill to have as a leader. Are there other skills that you believe are, as a leader, you really need to work on building?
Hmm. Well, we talked a little bit already about process and execution. I think that's really important. Um, some of them are not as easy to teach, right? Relationship building. It's harder to teach that than it is to teach how to do a process improvement. No disrespect for any process leaders, because to be an expert in that does take quite a bit of skill, but it's something that typically you can teach somebody given enough time. Sometimes building relationships is a little bit harder to teach, and that situational leadership and situational communication plays into being able to build those relationships. Um, that perspective of looking through the other person's lens,
Mhm.
that perspective of what is this going to mean to them and for them? What does it mean to their organizations? What are some of the fears that they're going to experience as they go through this? Being able to sense when some of your team members are starting to have some of those fears, as well as when some team members are having some frustrations, right? Maybe something isn't coming up in the conference room, or shoot, maybe it's something that's going on at home, right? I mean, hey, we were in the basement a lot. We spent a lot of nights, a lot of weekends. Identifying when somebody was struggling when they came in the morning, it's like, is everything okay? And it's to find out somebody's wife was getting very frustrated with the commitment to the program and that type of thing. It's knowing your team members well enough to be able to sense when something like that is going on, and then being able to, again, using your situational leadership, think about, well, for this person, this would be the best way to approach this, or to help them, or whatever the case may be. I think creating a culture of respect, right? I don't, again, it's harder to teach how you do that. In some cases, the best way to learn it, I think, is being blessed with being put, like ending up on a high performing team somewhere and being under a leader that does it very well. And then you see what it looks and it feels like, so that you can then in turn create that same kind of a culture for your teams. Um, I mean, I think that there's some business classes around it, but those are the types of things, I think, that until you have an opportunity to experience it, or you work under a leader that can help you experience it, it's a little bit harder to learn how to do that.
Well, it sounds like, and I'm kind of interpreting a little bit, it sounds like one of the things that you're saying is that there's a lot of it around communication and around conversation
Absolutely.
and being able to have those conversations with people. And quite honestly, based on what I've observed with, to me, that's one of the things that makes a difference between a great leader and kind of an kind of leader, is someone who's just really like sincerely having those conversations
Yep.
and really kind of staying in touch with your people.
Yes, it's I think I've heard this before a few times, so it's I'm sure it's floating around out there, but how many times have you heard, right? It's the difference between when somebody asks you in the morning, "Hey, how are you today?" and keeps walking, because it's a
Mhm.
habit.
Right,
"Hey, how are you today?" They're just asking because it's something to say, versus, "Jennifer, how are you today?"
right.
And then listening, no, really listening and hearing what Jennifer is saying back to like to me or to whoever they're talking to. I think it's critical.